Hey everybody, thank you for joining us for Help Me Hank here on Local 4 Plus. A lot to get to today. We're going to be talking about the recommendations coming from the Trump administration, from Robert Kennedy himself regarding banning the potential ban on different dyes, the additives that we see in a lot of different food products, including food products for children. We're also going to be talking about the Real ID deadline. It is quickly approaching, although we have given you a lot of information regarding what you need to do to make sure that you are ready and compliant if you choose to fly. We have more information as that deadline approaches. It is in the month of May, so we want to make sure that you are prepared. We're also talking about our big shred day that we had here at Local 4. We were out with Corrigan in Novi. Thousands of items were shredded. It was a successful day, and we will be taking a look at how all of that played out and also give you some information regarding different shred events and opportunities. If you weren't able to make it yesterday, I know Corrigan also has opportunities for you to make your way there on the weekend for a small fee if you need to take care of some of those items. Let's begin talking about the red dye, the yellow dyes, the dyes that we find in many of our food products. Right there, we're talking about red dye 40. That is one of those that's been listed. We're also talking about the yellow dyes 5 and 6, the blue dyes 1 and 2, and green dye 2. It might not look like much as you're seeing those numbers there on the screen, but these are dyes that are in many food products, and some of them are marketed towards children, like the cereals and the fruit snacks and all those other things that kids love to eat, my child being one of them, your 3 children. Also, Sarah Mayberry is our medical producer here at Local 4, and Sarah, we were talking just before this got underway here, and we were talking about the red dye controversy that you and I have both been here for about 24 years, and we have been talking about the red dye issue that entire time.
Literally our entire careers in consumer and health, we have been covering the potential risks of red dye and why they're still in our foods. So I almost fell over in January when the FDA actually banned red dye.
Yeah.
One of the red dyes.
Right.
Finally, after all these years.
Because these dyes widely are banned throughout most of Europe and have been for quite a long time, right? So I guess get us to what the controversy is. What is the concern about the dyes, and why do you think the move is being made now?
So the concern with the dyes is it's an artificial ingredient that is in lots of products that kids eat. The concern is more so for kids because they are getting a bigger dose of it by virtue of their size,
right.
But also they're still developing in a lot of ways. So the research is very mixed. The studies are mixed. There seems to be consensus that some kids are sensitive to these dyes in terms of ADHD and things like that.
Right.
There's some studies in animals that suggest certain dyes increase the risk of tumors. But these are hard to study. It's easy to study it in an animal in a lab. It's hard to study in a kid's diet because kids are eating lots of different foods. There's other ingredients in these foods. They tend to be in foods that are ultra processed that have
Right.
a lot of other bad things in them. So it's difficult to study the impact in kids.
I have the Welch's in my pantry right now. Are the Annies out here also?
Yep.
So hidden behind? Yeah,
and
I have those.
I grabbed these out of my pantry this morning, and and I'm not picking on these products in particular.
Yeah.
These are just the ones I had.
Yeah.
You can find them up and down the grocery aisle.
Hundreds of items.
But I mean, the Fruity Pebbles has 3 of the different dyes that would be phased out under this proposal. But I brought the fruit snacks, and these are both from my pantry, by comparison. So this one has 2 of the dyes that would be banned.
The Welch's
The
does.
Welch's does.
Yep.
This has none.
Okay.
So this uses carrot and currant for coloring instead.
And
so,
Annie's always kind of promotes itself as an organic kind of,
yes.
Yeah, okay.
And so this is a good example of what the difference would be if we switch to natural. So it's like bright red. I don't know if you, oh yeah, you can see it.
Yeah, they can see it there,
so,
yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, these are more vibrant, the Welch's. These are a little more natural, but I don't think these are unappealing. They're just a little bit different.
But would kids, like, let's say we were doing a blind taste test.
Yeah.
And I think it's just my daughter's very used to the Annie's products. We do the mac and cheese. Do you think that there's a taste difference, or is it, when we're talking about the dyes, it's more about the visual representation of it?
I think that American children and Americans in general are more drawn to the bright colors because that's what we're used to.
Yeah.
But I think that if we switched, I think people would adjust very quickly. Trix tried it back in 2017. Or before that, they phased out the artificial colors, but people didn't buy the natural version because they thought it wasn't as colorful. And so Trix put the artificial colors back in. So we as consumers need to support the change if we want to see the change.
So Secretary Kennedy has this is what I understand to be just a recommendation then, or how does it become something that these companies are going to be mandated to do? Because as of right now, they're not being told they have to remove this dye.
Yeah, and as the consumer producer, I'm assuming you have, or consumer reporter, I'm assuming
all of it, Sarah.
You are. I'm assuming you have some skepticism about that, as do I, because it is they're trying to work with the companies without outright banning all of these dyes. I think that it's going to take more strict government action if this is actually going to happen.
Yeah.
Because the companies don't have a lot of incentive to make the change if consumers are still buying the one that's brighter colors.
Yeah, but Kennedy has been talking about this long before his confirmation. I mean, this has been one of his kind of staples of what he believes needs to be done to make America healthy again. But I wondered, and when we started talking about it, this is why when we work on these stories together, it's a good representation because you're looking at it from the medical side of it. And the first thing I said is it going to cost more if they have to remove these dyes, and that becomes a process. Is there some sort of cost that's going to be attributed to it? And we just don't know right now.
I don't think we know. I mean, anytime you change a formula and you change labels, there is a cost involved, for sure. Yeah. But a lot of these products already have versions with natural flavorings that they sell in Europe. So it's not like they have to go through an entire process to figure out a formula. There are good alternatives to a lot of these colors, but they have to commit to making the change, and then we as consumers have to commit to buying those products.
Yeah, and I think it's to your point where the fact is that there is really not concrete evidence. There's not one thing that has come out that said, if you ingest this, this is going to happen. Smoking is a kind of a broad generalization, but we understand that if you smoke, you're at a much higher likelihood to get certain cancers. They have not come out yet and definitively said that these dyes are connected to this particular disease, correct? It's kind of foggy.
Science is unfortunately not as neat and definitive as many people would like. We're looking at a preponderance of the evidence. The preponderance of the evidence is, yes, some kids are definitely sensitive to this stuff.
Yeah.
There may be some other risks, but whether we can prove there's a risk or not, would you rather have your kid eating such and such dye number whatever, or carrot juice?
Sure.
Beet juice?
Yeah.
I mean, if we can make a safer or let me rephrase it, if we can make a more natural alternative, why not?
Yeah, a subtle change that maybe they don't notice from taste. Because I know I've had the Welch's. I'm thinking about my pantry right now. I know I have the Welch's. I know I have the Annie's. She doesn't gravitate towards one more than the other. I don't think she really notices the difference. But we were talking about this before too. It can be a full-time job for parents who invest in the idea of 100% organic, but then the minute she walks out the door and goes to the neighbor kid's house, she's going to eat whatever's in their pantry.
And these are convenience foods. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Like, would we rather our kids eat natural fruits and vegetables all the time? Of course, but you can grab this and put it in a lunchbox.
Sure.
This is easy for them to grab out of the pantry when you get home. Like, parents give their kids a lot of these products. I think a lot of us would rather they be more natural. I would rather they not have so much sugar in them and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So this is not the magic bullet answer to all of our nation's health problems.
Right.
But I do think it's something that we could do. It's something that is already done in Europe. So we're a little behind on that.
Do we require on this packaging anywhere to issue any sort of a warning about the dyes or no? There's not one on the Fruity Pebbles or anything,
No,
right?
there's not a warning on the labels. They are required to list them.
Yeah. Which read any box, so you can't pronounce half the.
No, you can't. Yeah. So, but I think. Do parents think that they're great? I don't. I think everyone realizes that there's some potential risk with all artificial ingredients.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I don't know if a warning is the answer. I think as a mom, would prefer better, healthier food in general.
Yeah. This is not something that is going to be solved immediately. This is even though we're hearing about this right now, don't expect on Tuesday when you go to your local store that this red dye is going to be out of these products.
No, and even the red dye that they banned in January, they had 2 years to get it out of food and 3 years to get it out of medicine. The administration's trying to make them shorten that timeline. So, I think it's a wait and see.
Yeah.
I think it's a wait and see if this comes to be. I think it's a wait and see how quickly it can happen. But I will say, if you want your kids to eat fewer of these, then, there are products that,
Yeah.
that don't have them in it. There are products that, color their mac and cheese with turmeric instead of red dye or orange dye or whatever. So.
It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I mean, we have two cereal giants here on the western side of the state. There have been big protests in front of both of them. Big protests.
Yeah.
And now they have somebody in the position of authority who is very strongly opposed to these dyes. So it'd be interesting to see how it plays out. So thank you for the props. I'll bring
course.
these home to Emma.
Here, you can have a snack if you get
Thank
hungry.
you.
I'll leave
I
those
appreciate
for
it.
you.
Sarah Mayberry, our medical producer, thanks for your time today.
Thanks, Sam.
All right, I appreciate it. Okay, so let's talk about something else that could affect prices. We're talking about Temu and Shein. If this, again, tied to the Trump administration, the Chinese e-commerce sites are very popular, but they say they're raising prices starting on Friday. It's all because of the rollout of Trump's tariffs. The White House increased tariffs on Chinese imports to 125%, and then China did the same thing to U.S. imports. So now these websites say that their expenses are going up, so now they have no choice but to make some price adjustments. We're not being told right now how much more you could be expected to spend, but understand that those price changes are coming, and they are coming rapidly. Another big change that we need to make you aware of, this one we've been warning you about for years, in fact, almost 20 years. There have been many delays in the execution of Real ID, but we know that the deadline is approaching in the month of May. And if you are not Real ID compliant by May 7th, you see the calendar there, then you will be restricted in the opportunities you have specifically for traveling on an airplane. The TSA requiring these changes, they say, in order to make sure that they realize and have an understanding that the IDs being presented have been verified and they are in fact legit. We did speak with somebody from the TSA recently about this rollout, about what you need to know, and about why this is being done. Take a listen. If somebody's watching us right now on Local 4 Plus and they're just confused by it all, they have a current driver's license right now, they feel like that's okay, maybe they're planning a trip later this summer, what do they need to do to make sure they are Real ID compliant?
Yeah, so a couple things. You mentioned one, and I love that tip. Just go to your ID right now and check and see if you have that star in the corner. Sometimes people have taken care of this issue and they don't even realize it, that it's already done. They don't need to do anything else. So check your ID, see if it's a real ID. The other thing I recommend is going to our website, tsa.gov. We list other forms of acceptable IDs. So there are a couple others. A passport is the main one. And maybe you think, hey, I don't fly up much, or I'm cool flying with my passport domestically. Maybe if that works for you, then great. You'll be okay with your passport after May 7th. But if you do need that Real ID and you want it to be on your driver's license, go to the Michigan Secretary of State office. They will tell you where to make that appointment, where to go in, and then what documents you need to bring, to prove your citizenship, to prove your identity, who you are. They'll check those when you're there. You'll get your picture taken and everything else you do when you get an ID, and then you'll get it in the mail and you'll be all set.
I think some of the people, watching and some of the questions that I've been fielding are asking, is this now the real date? Is May 7th, is this the real deal? Because we've heard about this for such a long time, and most notably during COVID, we gave everybody some extra time because, the world as we knew it kind of came to a stop. How confident are you in that May 7th date, or do you expect that there's a possibility that this may get pushed further into the year?
Yeah, no, you make a great point. And really, we just saw so many offices that were closed in that time. That was really the reasoning behind trying to give, both the states and the passengers extra time to catch up on this issue. But every piece of information we have right now is that May 7th, 2025 is the enforcement date. We're certainly preparing for that. And I don't want any passengers to be caught unaware at that date. So I wouldn't roll the dice if I were you, especially if you have plane tickets bought. Just make sure you have some form of ID that's going to get you through the checkpoint on that day.
So what is the difference between Real ID versus enhanced? What does it get you?
Yeah, so again, there's a few different options, and Real ID is the one you want if you're trying to fly with it domestically. Enhanced has those other protections, like we were talking about, some of those other travel options that you'd be going through. but the real ID with the star is what you want to get if you're planning on using it for flying. And again, if you do have a passport as well and you want to use that, that's an acceptable form of ID even after May 7th.
How is TSA preparing for this then? If May 7th, May 8th comes and you've got a line of people who are not real ID compliant, I know there's going to be a little flexibility in trying to work with those people. Is that going to kind of be like the people who get moved to another lane if they don't have, you know, it happened to me once. I was flying with my mother who forgot her driver's license. They were so kind. They moved us to the side. It took about 15 minutes. Eventually, we were able to go on. Is that kind of what we're going to see?
It really depends, and we just aren't sure yet. Again, because I don't think we know how many people until we get up to that deadline. Are we really talking about? And it will vary a lot, airport to airport, and again, like I said, day to day. So there will be additional identity verification steps we have to take. And you know, like you said, there are people who come every day who forget their ID, and we have processes in place to verify their IDs. And some people, like you said, it maybe took you 15 minutes. Some people, it takes a heck of a lot longer to go through that process. So, you know, whatever you can do, and this really doesn't even apply just to IDs, but, you know, packing and everything we talk about when going to the checkpoint, whatever that you can do before you get to the airport to make that experience smoother for yourself, we recommend. And certainly, you know, taking care of this and getting that ID. If I was planning on traveling in May or this summer, it would just be such a high action item for me. I really would not want to be rolling the dice and saying, well, I hope I get through and I hope I don't miss my flight because of this issue.
We have everything you need to know regarding Real ID. If you need more information, right at clickondetroit.com. Again, that deadline is quickly approaching. You can make an appointment with the Secretary of State's office on or before May 7th to get that paperwork and that process rolling. Make sure you bring in your current ID, and if you don't have it, a birth certificate or a passport, so they can verify who you are, so you can get the real ID and be compliant by the deadline, May 7th. We had a fantastic day yesterday at our Go For It Shred and Protect event. So many viewers showing up, and the turnout, great to see. Not only knowing that we were helping you secure your personal and private information, but also knowing that so much of the waste that was collected would be recycled, and we were doing some good also for Mother Earth. I want you to take a look at the event yesterday in Novi, and then some information on the other side of this story if you were unable to make it to our event.
We do this once a month, and we get like 250 people.
The long line started forming early this morning.
I mean, we thought we might have 500 people. I bet we've had 1,000 so far.
Our Local 4 viewers eager to participate in our Go For It Shred and Protect event.
Hello. Good, how are you?
I met so many of you out here today.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Taking the initiative to make sure that your personal information remains personal. Getting it shredded properly.
I was going to shred these at home and it was going to take forever. Thank you.
Have a great day. Thank you.
As of right now, more than 25 tons of paper has been collected that will be shredded.
I thought we'd have like a break at midday, something like that. You know, I had like shifts for people and stuff, and got blown out of the water.
And hundreds of computers, laptops, old iPhones. Right now, I want to give you a look at just some of the electronic items we've been collecting today. We're talking about old phones, laptops, computers. And the great thing about those old computers, once they are cleaned and wiped, some of them, if they are viable, will go to those in need.
So we take any e-waste, we try to repurpose it for the community. Things that we can't use, we give to a recycler to use for parts and whatnot. So everything's put to a good use. It's diverted from landfills, and it helps the community.
This is all in an effort to make sure Mother Earth
Thank you.
remains clean.
Thank you.
Yep, have a good day.
Have a great day.
Good to get them out of the house.
Absolutely.
Yeah, good. I'm
Cleaned
glad
out the
you were able to
storage
show
area.
up. All right, have a good day.
Thank you, Hank.
Thanks. Good day to do a little spring cleaning. 40 tons of paper was collected, 60 pallets of e-waste. And here's the great thing about all of that e-waste. We had so many computers and laptops, iPhones, you name it. Once they are scrubbed, they are cleared of the memory that's on that product. If they are viable, a lot of these computers will be donated and go to those who are not able to afford them themselves. They'll go to children in underserved communities. So the giving, it just keeps on going. If you were unable to make it to the shred event at Corrigan, usually on Saturdays, every other Saturday, they have a shred event. You can call Corrigan directly in Novi. It is for a low fee to fill up an entire container of paper waste. You can bring a limited number of electronic items rather, to be taken care of and disposed of. So they do all the work for you right there. So it was a great turnout yesterday. We appreciate everybody who was a part of the event. And if you want more information about how to contact Corrigan or more information about the shred event, you can head over to clickondetroit.com. As always, we appreciate you spending some time with us. If you need to get in touch with Help Me Hank, you can do so also at clickondetroit.com or reach our help desk. We hope you have a great day.